He told me Plavix is a prescription pill that can help protect you from a heart attack or stroke if you've recently had one, or if you have poor circulation in the legs causing pain.
Plavix is proven to help keep blood platelets from sticking together and forming clots, which helps keep your blood flowing. This can help protect you from another heart attack or stroke. If you have a medical condition that is causing bleeding, such as a stomach ulcer, you should not use Plavix. Side effects include itching, rash, diarrhea, and bruising. Additional rare but serious side effects could occur. Ask your doctor.
Taking Plavix once a day helps protect me.
Find out if Plavix can help protect you from another heart attack or stroke.
As soon as we got the medical command post set up, and I was with a team of other fire department EMTs, we were about to go off and treat some people we had been assigned to treat. All of a sudden we looked up, before we looked up, we heard what sounded like basically a jet airliner landing right on top of our heads. Looked up and the building was just coming down.
Amazing. That was a phone call from Ground Zero nearly 1 year ago from emergency medical technician Dan Cohen, risking his life while attempting to save others. Dan is also a producer here at Fox News, and he joins us now live from Philadelphia. Also with us from Washington, D.C. is John Nowell, a retired Army officer with experience in security and counterterrorism operations, who, along with many others, pulled bodies out of the Pentagon for 5 long days. And joining us by phone, we have Rick King. He's the assistant chief for the Shanksville, Pennsylvania Volunteer Fire Department, where Flight 93 went down. Thank you, all of you, for being here tonight. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Rita.
Thank you. Dan, let's start with you. What goes through your mind when you hear yourself now a year later?
That was kind of weird, actually. At first, I didn't realize that was me. I've told the story to a lot of people throughout the past year, so I mean, it kind of brings it back in the immediate sense when I hear it from actually minutes after it happened. It is wild, and I'm covering it too. It's interesting. I still get chills too when I hear a lot of it. Your wife called you. That's how you found out about this, right? Yeah, I actually had overslept. I was still asleep. My wife works on Wall Street, a few blocks from the World Trade Center, and she called at first and said, something's going on, I'm not sure what it is. Turn on the TV. I turned on the TV. My first thought when I saw it was to get up and go to Fox, but then I watched a little and I realized that, you know, they needed help down there. So I started getting dressed to go down there. When she called back a minute later and said she just felt another huge explosion, which turns out was the second plane. And that's why I decided, yeah, I definitely needed to go down there. I'm glad you made the right choice, Dan. What did you see when you approached the towers? I know you've recounted, you and I have even talked about this. You saw some amazing things. I mean, you saw large chunks of the plane, gaping holes. Right. Well, at first, I hitched a ride down there with an FBI agent who I just kind of flagged down. I said, I'm an EMT. He said, get in. When we first pulled up, it was a few blocks away from the World Trade Center, and I saw parts of engines, parts of the plane, and that was the first time I realized that it was such a huge plane. It still hadn't even really sunk in that it was a real jet. And I realized that this was no small thing. Then once I ran up closer to the buildings when people started jumping, and I saw that, I didn't even realize at first that they were people. I thought it was just debris coming down until somebody told me. First of all, we had to move to get out of the way, and then somebody told me that they were people. Amazing. John Nowell, when did you first hear about Flight 77 and what was happening at the Pentagon?
Well, Rita, in my world, nothing ever happens on Tuesday. So I had actually taken down my computer network and my phone system that morning, and as I left the house to go get some more computer parts, my mother called on my cell phone. And it was quite a strange exchange. It's only been 10 years that I've been out of the Army. She said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yes." She said, "Are you at the Pentagon?" I said, "No." She said, "Well, you better get there. There's a plane's already hit the building, and they're going to need your help." And luckily, I was already on the road, and luckily, I had a medic bag in my truck. So I went straight up 395. It was a very surreal experience. And what did you see, John? I mean, not just physically what you saw, but also just the throngs of people helping. Well, Rita, you know, I've thought about this a lot since last year, and I think what happened on 9/11 was that Al-Qaeda sent us a very, very costly but important reminder. And they may have thought that they had a monopoly on things worth dying for, but all they did was remind us of the things that make America great and that Americans are willing to fight for. And there was, yes, you're right, there was chaos. There were most tragic things I'd ever seen or could ever imagine, but they're also some of the most uplifting.
And there's a story of Jim Rice, too. I want to have you just real share it. This is an amazing story. A man who's getting chemotherapy, right? Tell us what he did.
Well, this is what I think is so important. There were so many people who were never in the cameras or in the limelight. Jim Rice, I watched him for 4 days, practically 24 hours a day, run the FBI operation, helping identify bodies and tag people and carry people out and manage the information flow, never realizing that he had gotten up off a hospital bed where he was getting chemotherapy just to be there.
That's amazing. Let's bring in Rick King from Pennsylvania. Rick, when did you first hear about the crash in Shanksville? I understand your sister told you, right?
Yeah, that's right. I was on the phone with her. I had called her about 10 o'clock and see if she had known what was going on in New York and in Arlington. And as I was talking to her on the telephone, she said to me, "Rick, that I hear a plane," and she was pretty adamant and said it was really loud. It sounded like a jet, and so I immediately stepped out onto my porch, and I could hear the plane, I could hear the engine screaming, and just seconds later it hit. I mean, our whole town just shook, and I witnessed the fireball going up into the sky.
And then you arrived at the site. You're a volunteer with the fire department there and many others. You were there for 18 days. I cannot imagine what that was like. But what did you see when you got there at the scene?
Well, I don't know. I tell you, Rita, the most amazing thing, I guess, that I keep saying is what we didn't see. The plane hit. We later found out at about 570 miles an hour into the ground. It was just total destruction. There wasn't anything really identifiable as far as a plane initially, and that's what just strikes me is just the total destruction of that aircraft, and just the horrible scene that will forever be in my mind.
Dan Cohen, how do you feel when you hear people say that you and everybody else out there, you're heroes? I mean, you made the right choice. Here you work for Fox News, but you made the right choice, and you got down to the site and helped people.
Well, I'm a little uncomfortable with the hero term. I think one thing that I was thinking about when John was talking, one of the first things I noticed when I was driving down with the FBI agent, and there were people on the streets, cab drivers and stockbrokers, standing next to each other, directing traffic, directing us in. Everybody was helping everybody that day, and that's the most amazing thing is that the people that you don't hear about, where everyone, the whole city just came together and without a word of coordination began helping everybody. From the minute the towers collapsed and we started pulling people out, there were shop owners opening their doors, pulling people in, pouring water on everybody to get the dust out of their faces. I think to call people heroes, there were definitely many heroes that day, but the amazing story is how everyone came together and really pitched in and was one large effort instead of individual ones.
And John Nowell, we just have a few seconds left. What message do you take from that day?
I think that what Dan just said is that you don't have to be big and strong to be a hero. All you have to do is to try. And I think that's the thing that we remembered after this terrible, terrible tragedy, was that we could all hang together like that.
All right, John Nowell, Dan Cohen, also Rick King on the phone with us. Thank you for your dedication during that terrible and emotional time, and also for sharing your great stories with all of us tonight. A lot of encouragement. Thank you, gentlemen, very much.
Thank you, Rita.
Thank you. And up next, has the entertainment world changed since September 11th? You'll be surprised, but there have been some changes, and our Bill McCuddy is up next to talk about them. Stay tuned.
This program is brought to you by Kyocera Media.
One company provides total document solutions for business. Like connected copiers that scan directly to email or fax. Color documents for about the cost of black and white. And the ability to create, store, and print business forms, eliminating costly pre-printed forms. One company provides all these solutions and more. One company, Kyocera.
Don't think of it as a lighthouse. Think of it as the kind of nightlight you never outgrow. For your free Outer Banks travel guide with all the illumination you need, call today. The Outer Banks, home of the first flight.